Today I'll be ranking all ESPN pundits from the best to the worst, also as S tier all the way to F tier, and I'll be giving my thoughts and opinion on who I think is good in their job and who is horrible and offers nothing, and potentially should even be fired, to be honest, because we're not giving away free money over here in 2025. Let's get right to it. Now, we're gonna start off a little hard, and this guy, although he was a professional player, although he offers a lot as far as to the MLS crowd, and I think sometimes he has valid points. And I would say there's a few times he has valid points. Rarely he has valid points. Or I should say he never has valid points. I'm putting Hercules Gomez in the D tier for this one because this dude, alright, he knows a lot about MLS, and I understand, like, he's supposed to be repping his country, but he doesn't offer anything. Like, he hypes up MLS, which I understand is his job, but I feel like when he talks about European teams and how MLS players are, or how American players are doing in Europe, I just think he's always out of touch with reality. I just think that he's lost. And because of him, I don't watch Football Americas. And I don't even know if I would, to be honest, because I don't listen or watch to MLS. You know, I have better things to do with my time than watch MLS. But Hercules Gomez, there's just something about the way he carries himself that I just don't like. And I also think he doesn't talk much about the sport, or he doesn't talk about the sport in a reasonable way that's non-biased. But hey, what can we expect from an ESPN pundit? And by the way, guys, right now my shoulders might look a little big. I have shoulder pads because I just got done riding my motorcycle. So, the next one, the next pundit that I'll be going to is Klinsman. Now, I don't know if Klinsman. I think he offers an interesting perspective into this ESPN crew, especially because he was a very good manager, and he even represented the U.S. and he represented Germany. But I just don't feel right putting him in A tier. I would say he's a upper B tier because he does give good insights on how a manager thinks, and a lot of the times, all these ESPN crew, they only see stuff because they were raised to think like a Premier League fan, where it's Premier League, Premier League. Why are these players going to play in their national team? Premier League, we less friendlies, and I think he brings Klinsmann brings a good balance to this, and he says, look, I understand you care about your league, but guess what? You have to qualify to the World Cup. Qualifications exist. You know, you have to figure out constantly which player is gonna get called up to these national teams and which player isn't for the bigger tournaments like the World Cup to succeed. So friendlies are, I know, as much as we hate friendlies, friendlies are important, and I think Klinsmann brings a good insight on this and how a manager thinks. So I'll put him upper B tier. Julian Lawrence, Kareem the Dream. Kareem the Dream. Ronald Koeman. I don't even want to say his name. Honestly, this dude cringes me out. Julian Lawrence, he does. I hate the way this dude dresses. Like, I will put him upper C tier, but when I think about this dude's outfits, and he fucking rolls up his jeans, and I think he puts his fucking socks over his jeans. All right, so I was just about to put him into C tier. I'm putting him into D tier because this dude's annoying. But I have to put him upper D tier because Hercules Gomez, I can't stand this dude. Julian Lawrence brings good insights in his Gavin Jules podcast, but he can be freaking cringy. His outfits suck, and he just complains about everything. He literally, sometimes when I'm watching his show, I'm just like, what do you want these players or managers to do? Like, they can never get anything right. So sometimes I just think sometimes I think that Gavin Jules podcast is literally just a bitching contest. Speaking of the man, Gab. Honestly, as much as I don't like Julian Laurence, I hate Gab more. I do not like Gab at all. I think, and this is more of a personal issue because uh, I think he represents the part of the world that basically the privileged part. And I don't really like to buy into this whole privileged part of the life, but he was talking about, oh, first of all, this dude always takes vacations. He never goes to his podcast. He's a freaking, and I think that he, I understand, you know, you have pride for your country in Italy and yeah, you wanna rep Italy, but there's just something about him where I just think he kind of thinks that Italians are the best, and that oh, Italians come from these great lines, and you know, Italians were always the best at football. Look, Italians are good because they're defensively solid and they play counterattacking football, and that's hard to beat. They're gritty. But this little fat ass right here, he's over here talking. The reason why the reason where I was just like, oh hell no, was when he tried defending the 2030 World Cup. That's gonna be played in 6 countries, and he was saying that basically, I believe Stevie Nickel was saying, oh, like you're taking the sport away from the poor or from the average person, and he tried making the argument saying that the sport is already away from the average person. You know, an average person can't afford to go to the World Cup. I went to the World Cup. I am by no means above average, or at least at the time that I went to the World Cup. I was a college student. I was working a shitty job, but I was about to buy my motorcycle, and then the country that I was supporting went to the World Cup. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to this World Cup. Cost me about 5K. I'm giving a little bit too much info, but I wasted about 5K on a World Cup trip. But I'm an average person, and I just think this dude thinks. I also heard once that when he goes to a restaurant, he says, "Oh, I'm Gab Marcotti from ESPN," and he tries to get a little bit of shortcuts. I just don't like a lot about this dude. I think Gab Marcotti is a little freaking. I don't want to say what I think he is. He's soy. Just put it that way. He's a little rich boy, but he gives good insights. He does give good insights, and in his podcast, he has he talks a lot about the BS in the sporting and how clubs like to publicize or spread rumors after things go a certain way. So he does bring good insights, but I can't stand this dude. I just can't stand him. And he also complains about everything. You know what? I'm gonna put him upper D tier, cause his personality. No, I gotta put him C tier, but he's lower C tier. But he's good at his job. But his personality, I just can't stand him. Okay, now another person that I think is gonna go into B tier is Mario. Now, honestly, I have a soft spot for Mario. I think he's a nice guy, and I think he brings insights to other leagues like the Everdees League, which is gives puts you a little higher because I don't watch the Dutch league, and he talks about his time coming up in Chelsea and the psychology of a great player, which all these maybe Clemson, I forget if he was very good, but all these 3 people weren't at the best. They didn't play in the top level, but I have a soft spot for Mario. I think he's cool. He's a little too happy though. Or the next person that we're gonna rank is Don Hudson or Hutchinson, whatever your name is. Now I like what he brings to the ESPN crew, and he's not the smartest person. I'll put it that way. You know, he doesn't know how to add. He says, "Oh, give us your percentage on who's gonna win the Premier League," and he's like, "Liverpool 60%, Man City 50%, and then Arsenal 50%." Well, guess what? That fucking adds up to like I'm gonna fucking put this 60, 100, 110, and then 50, 160. That adds up to 160%. So your math ain't mathin'. I think he brings good insight on a part of the game in the psychology of a player. So I'll put him in B tier, and yeah, I think he does well in B tier. Um, Now our first goalie in this list, Casey Keller. I like Casey Keller. I think he brings. There's the thing that you want in a crew is a dynamic of positions. I think every pundit, especially when when they play a unique position like goalkeeper, which Casey Keller does or did, I should say. He always brings an interesting psychology of a player, and that's what we don't know. We don't know much about how a goalkeeper in the top level thinks. And yeah, maybe he didn't play in the best teams in the world, or I forgot if he played in the Premier League, but I think he does his job well on talking about the psychology of a goalkeeper. Now, speaking of goalkeepers, Shaka Hipslow, or whatever your name is. Oops. Uh, Again, he brings a very well insight on how goalkeepers act, and also, um, yeah, he brings another good input. I don't want to say, but besides my boy Mario over here, there's something distinct about all these guys. But so every time Vinicius gets, they always have to bring him in, which I understand, you know. But yeah, Shaka Hipslow, I want to put him in B tier because I think he does have good input, but his freaking rankings are so they're literally just a waste of time. Like, why are you ranking these fucking teams? And I feel like everyone takes you as a joke. No one takes you serious. So I want to put him in B tier, but because of his rankings and how trash they are, I'm gonna put him in C tier. Now, vamos Venezuela, vamos Venezuela, vamos Venezuela. I'm about to put you in F tier. Honestly, Ali Moreno, I'm about to put you in fucking F tier. But I'm putting you in the lowest D tier that I could put you. Adam Moreno, there's times where I hear his analysis or his thoughts on games, and I'm just like, did you even watch the same game? What are you talking about? Honestly, what are you talking about? And this dude, I mean, I think again, he's a unique player because they don't have much players in Comnable. They don't have much players in Comnable, and I think he represents and he talks well maybe when it comes to the South American teams and especially when Mbappe was talking about or these ESPN pundits were saying, oh, the Euros is harder than World Cup. Even Denmark won it once. Right when Stevie Nico said that, I thought to myself, yeah, if Denmark won it, that means it's not that hard to win the fucking Euros. And they were close to winning it in the past Euros, I believe, or whichever Euros Ericsson almost passed out away or unalived himself. I thought Alan Moreno did a good job defending Comnable. But besides that, besides those takes, this dude is just a yapping merchant. He just complains about everything. And sometimes I want to hear the actual input. I don't want to hear you just yapping. And speaking of yapping, where is this dude? Craig Burley. I think I'm gonna have to put you in F tier, to be honest. Craig Burley. At first, I feel like when you first start watching the show and you hear him complaining about everyone and just being pissed, basically he's a grumpy old man. You enjoy it. But there comes a time when you realize this dude's just yapping. He just yaps and yaps and yaps, and he has no good input. And sometimes it's like a filibustering, to be honest. He doesn't have any good input. The only good input he has is bitching. So, I'm sorry, like, there's more times after the show where I just kind of skip um, Craig Burley's takes because, yeah, he kind of just complains. But he does get other people rowdy, like, pretty angry. And I think he gets a good reaction out of people. So, he has his role in this job. But his takes, if we're going to talk about specifically his takes and analysis, he even said it himself, he doesn't like the game. Or he doesn't like watching the sport. So sometimes I'm just like, why are you here, dude? Like, you don't like watching the sport. You're a grumpy old man, and you don't even like to talk about the game, really. You just like to bitch. So, yep. That's kind of where I have it. So, next one. Let's see. Now, we're going to have our first A tier with this. Stuart Robson. I think he's very good at his job. Very, very good. I want to put him in S tier. But I feel like you can really only put one person in S tier. Or S tier belongs to only one person. And I already have my name reserved to here. So, Stuart Robson, I think he's well spoken. He played at a very high level. And I really enjoyed him calling out Stevie Nicol because, especially after the 2022 UCL final, Stevie Nicol was like, I think everyone is scratching their head saying, how did Real Madrid win this game? But I also thought Madrid deserved to win this game. They controlled the game correctly, and I thought Stevie Nicol was just being biased with his Liverpool ways, and it was Stuart Robson, it was Stuart Robertson, or whatever the fuck his name is, and it was Stuart Robson that ended up calling him out, saying, "Oh, you're just being biased," and he got pretty angry when he started defending De Ligt towards Don Hutchinson. So I think he does his job very well, and I want to put him in A tier. I want to put him borderline S tier. But yeah, like I said, only one person deserves to be in that list. We have our second F tier. And this guy honestly deserves to be in the very freaking bottom. Luis Garcia. Dude, what does this guy offer? I have never seen him go against Barcelona, Atletico, or Liverpool. This dude is the merchants of all merchants. Like, dude, I understand that you played for these teams once and that it's hard for you to go against them, but can you at least give an honest opinion? Like, I actually feel like he's such a politician. He should go into politics because he never answers anything clearly. Like, your takes are never clear. They're so vague because you don't want to select a side. Your only side is going for Liverpool, Barcelona, and Atletico, and going against Madrid. That's really your only side, or in your opinion. And you offer nothing to the show, nothing. So that's my opinion. I mean, this dude, like, oh my god, I can't stand him. He literally wastes everyone's time. He's there for no reason. Speaking of the man that I've mentioned a lot, Stevie Nicol. I want to put him right here. B tier. Now, he should go down to C tier. He should. But there's times, because I think that the game has kind of passed him. I think he's the oldest one in this list, at least that there might be a couple people that are around his age, but I mean, he was a great player, and he talks a lot about how the game is back then, and I think he does a good job talking about left backs and right backs and and the idea of what it is to be a manager. And he was honest at one point saying that he didn't think he could ever make it to the top. He didn't think he could make it to the top when it comes to being a specific manager or coach. And he also brought insight on like how certain agents are and how trash they are. So I think he overall he brings a good insight. And he talked. One thing that I always remembered was when he said that Leroy Sané, he's the type of player that gets you fired. And by that, he means like you're a good player, but if you can't get the best out of this player, then the club's gonna want to let you go. So that's a risky player. But anyways, he brings insights like that, and that's because he was a manager, and he was a manager that had a good relationship with players. At the end of the day, I do think maybe he should go a little lower, to be honest, because some of his takes, I'm just like, dude, you're Liverpool bias. You are such a biased Liverpool fan. But I know I think he's good. Now the other one who I think I don't know where Frank would go. He's a World Cup winner. He doesn't stop yapping about that. But I like when he talks about his Chelsea ways and the analysis of a player or the mindset of a player when they're taking a penalty. I'll put him B tier. He's good. There's not much you can say about him. I feel like he always had solid takes. He likes to name drop a lot. But yeah, he was alright. He won the World Cup. I think he's one of the only World Cup winners in the group. Now, I think I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to give the S tier or reveal the S tier. Fuck. Sid Lowe. Sid Lowe is. I feel like every single time he's in the show, not only does he make it entertaining, not only does he inform you, but he basically tells you like the whole storyline and what people think in the media. He tells you everything. He tells you the drama behind everything. He makes everything seem like a story. There's not much to say, but every time you know that Sid Lowe's gonna be in the show, you know that he's gonna give you solid facts, and not only facts but dramas. This dude has everything, and I'm a big fan of Sid Lowe, to be honest. I can't find his podcast, or I think I found it, but besides Real Madrid and Barcelona and Atletico, besides those three teams, I'm not really interested in anything else. Jan. I think he deserves to be in B tier. He's a solid B tier. I'll put him that. Fuck, that's too low. That's the thing. Like, I feel like there's a big gap between everyone here and everyone here. And honestly, I'm putting this dude a little too high because he just Mario has just a soft spot for me. Ah. Yeah. Jan, I think he does a good job of bringing and talking about the Bundesliga. He talks a lot about Norwegian players that are big right now, and basically a lot of the Scandinavian countries, if you can even call it that. I don't even know if Norwegians are considered Scandinavians. Yeah, I don't think he has the best inputs, or when he comes on, you're like super entertained, like I would say these two are. But yeah, I would say he's good. He's a solid member of the ESPN crew. He does a good job commentating, so I feel like that boosts him. He's nice. He commentates, so he watches the game well, and he's not like Alan Moreno that just is silent sometimes and gives no energy or no input in the middle of freaking games. So I'll put him right here, upper B tier. Don Hutchinson is also too fucking high. This dude, I think he deserves to be right here. So this, and maybe Klinsmann does deserve to be A tier, but I just don't think. I just don't think he's as entertaining as Stuart Robson. So I think we're getting there. We're getting to the correct list. Natum. Natum, I think, is a little bit of a yapper. If you ask me, I think he yaps quite a bit. He doesn't stop talking about that QPR regulation moment, and he doesn't stop talking about how bad freaking Mancini is, or whatever, however you pronounce his name. It's starting to get a little hard, but he does speak well. He's a well-spoken person. He spent a lot of his career in MLS, so I think that kind of drops you down a little. But yeah, crap. I'm gonna put you down in lower B tier. Now we're really just getting to the host, and I think Dan Thomas, I'll put him in B tier as well. Actually, because we're talking about hosts and not necessarily pundits, I'll put Dan Thomas in A tier. He's good. He knows. Again, well-spoken person. You could tell that he breaks down. You could tell that he breaks things down pretty fast and reasonable, and he gets the crew members pretty fired up. So he's good at his job. What can I say? He is soy as hell though. He's so, and this dude right here, super soy, extremely soy. Sebastian Salazar, Football Americas. Again, I can't stand Football Americas. So honestly, I think I'm gonna have to put you down. Higher a C tier, just for being in Football Americas, and being so freaking biased towards American players. Actually, well, I think he got kicked out of Football Americas. But I will put you in B tier. B tier is getting way too big though. And then the last person I'll put in this list is Kay Murray. I'll put her in B tier. No, I'll put her in just under C tier because she's good. She's easy on the eyes. She does offer good things to this crew, but she can't really. I feel like she doesn't have much input. Like she doesn't have as much input as Sebastian Salazar or Dan Thomas. So that's kind of this list. If I were to make any changes, I'll probably put Don Hutchinson a little up north. Honestly, both of these people don't deserve to be C tier. I think they deserve to be B tier. And maybe you could even put Don Hutchinson in C tier, to be honest. But I just feel like there's such a big gap. I don't know. I feel bad for putting Shaka here because he's nice, and so is Don freaking Hutchinson. B tier is getting too big though. I can't stand this dude. But yeah, that's pretty much my picks. So again, everyone, this is kind of the average. This is kind of below average, except Gab. I just can't stand this freaking little fat ass. Freaking Italian little bitch. And then D tier, this is just below average. And then F tier is just yappers. And who else can you give it to? Freaking yappers who don't say anything besides Craig Burley and freaking Luis Garcia. Anyways, I haven't gotten a subscriber in quite a bit. We'll see if this does well. Hopefully it does. But, yeah. Pumpkin Picks out!